Uh, hello. Hey, welcome to my channel. This is the first live that I'm doing. I don't know how it's going to go down. I'm not quite familiar with the YouTube setup yet. So this is the first one. We're going to try it and we're going to see what happens. It's only going to be 30 minutes, and today we are talking about embracing aging. And there are we're just going to get right to it. Oh, my name is Eva. In case I haven't introduced myself, I tend to forget to say, hey, my name is Eva, and this is Women Blazing Trails. So there's two very popular quotes that are complete opposite from each other. One of them is that aging is not for the faint of heart, and the other one is aging is a privilege denied to many. So while aging is a beautiful thing and it has tons of benefits, a lot of people. I just did a video recently a couple of weeks ago about the 10 brutal truths about aging. I don't know if you've seen that yet. You can go and check that out after this live. So we're not going to talk about the 10 brutal truths, but what I do want to talk about is the fact that in aging, there is a lot of things that we have to cope with, and aging, and I'm talking about 60 plus, 60, 70, 80, but I am a 62-year-old woman, so I am talking about aging from my perspective. So with aging, there comes some challenges and some issues that we're not used to dealing with. We don't know how to deal with them. And a lot of them can be very frustrating. Also, with aging comes some really beautiful stuff as well. We have freedom. We have no filter. We have a lot more. We can do what we want. We're very unapologetic. I mean, aging can be a beautiful thing. But in the video that I did, and I got so many comments in that video, and the common theme in that video from the comments that I was reading about was that there is an awful lot of people who do feel lonely. And that's at any age, 60, 70, 80. Some people feel very, very lonely in their older years. Hi, Esther. Welcome to the live. Hi. So I just want to talk a little bit about how we can embrace aging and how we can move into, our 60s, our 70s, and our 80s, and finding joy as opposed to, dealing with all the shitty things, if you will, instead of dealing with all the shitty things that we have to deal with that come with age. I want to share some ways about how we can embrace aging and make the absolute most out of it. Because so a lot of people, I have to say this, a lot of people commented, not a lot, a handful, said that the video is very depressing. I talked about a lot of things that are depressing. When we get into 60s, and maybe it's just me, I don't know. I don't think so, because in the comments, a lot of people had agreed. You start thinking about death and you start thinking about your life differently, because a lot of your friends have died. You've lost a lot of friends to sicknesses, diseases. You don't see them very much anymore. Like, death is just around the corner. And I don't mean we're going to drop dead tomorrow, but I mean, when you don't think about death when you're 21 years old. You think more about death when you hit 60 and beyond. So I think that instead of thinking about all the negative things that come with aging, because let's just face it, there are some negative things that come with aging, I want to talk about the positive things and how we can just find more joy and be happier in moving into the next chapter, or the last few decades. That's very optimistic. The last few decades of our lives. So in dealing with I want to talk a little bit about the loneliness part, because a lot of people were saying that, and a lot of people aren't lonely after 61. They've separated from their husbands. And it was a lot of women commenting, separated from their husbands. They've moved, they're happier, they have more freedom, they don't need anybody. They don't want a partner. They're, perfectly happy in their own skin. And that's fantastic. And I love to hear that. And I love to read that. But so I have a kitten. So the kitten will be everywhere. Sorry if she's on the desk. So there are some people who are lonely after 60 and feel very sad about it. I dropped some links down in the chat. And I did drop a link to an article from the National, what's it called again? Hang on one second. The National Council on Aging. Sorry about that. And they do talk a lot about depression in older adults because that is a thing. What happens with what happens with older adults is that we lose friends, we've lost our lifelong partners, our husbands or wives or whoever's watching. And we have mobility issues. Many of us have financial issues, so we don't go out anymore. We don't talk to anybody more. So a lot of the older adults just stay home. They don't do anything, watch TV, and they're alone, and they don't make any attempts at any social connection. And human connection and social connection is very, very important, but they don't make any attempts. And then depression starts setting in. And that's sad, pardon the pun, but nobody, especially as we move into our golden years, nobody should have to live like that, alone and lonely and depressed because you have no friends or you have nobody to talk to or anything like that. So pardon me 1 second while I take a little drink. So I think it's important, and I get that many people do have mobility issues, and it is hard for some people to get out and socialize. Maybe you don't have a car, or maybe you don't have any means of transportation, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's important to still try to maintain social connections, human connection in some form. And I want to share a couple of things about a couple of ways in which you can do that. And I know, so here's something funny. A lot of people here's an example. Let's say for many women, or even men too, don't like to ask for help, right? I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to ask anybody for help. I don't want to disturb anybody, whatever the case may be. And we do desperately need and want help, but we don't want to bother anybody. But people don't know that you need help unless you ask them. People have no idea because we're not mind readers, right? It's the same thing if you're lonely. People don't know that you're lonely and really crave human connection unless you tell them. And I know for some of us, for us to do that, it puts us in a very vulnerable position, right? And a lot of us don't like to be vulnerable. But you have to understand that people genuinely do care. People do want to help, and people do want to do whatever they can to help you, but they don't know that you need help, or they don't know that you're lonely if you don't tell them. So I think it's important to reach out, even if you go to church, or if you have church friends or a Bible study group, maybe, or online friends, or your neighbor, even maybe, whatever the case may be, just reach out to somebody. And it could be somebody that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's in your circle and what kind of, what town you live in or anything like that. But just reach out and say, hey, you know what, Margaret, I'm feeling kind of lonely today. And I bet you, 9 times out of 10, I bet you Margaret's kind of lonely too and going through the same thing that you're going through. And Margaret probably wishes that she had somebody to talk to as well. So the two of you are sitting at home alone and neither one of you is reaching out. So you have to make efforts. And you have to make a little bit of an effort to at least reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm feeling lonely. I just want some company, maybe somebody to talk to on the phone. Maybe we can go down to the park. Maybe we can go for a coffee. Maybe whatever. Maybe you can come over. I can come over there, whatever the case may be. People don't know that you're lonely and want company if you don't ask them. So please do that. I think it's very important And a lot of us don't want to take that step, but I think it's very important, especially for your mental health, which is very important as we get into our older years. I think it's important for you to take that step and just reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm lonely. Do you want to go have a coffee? Do you want to go for a walk? Whatever. Just do that. I think and when you're done, and here's the beautiful thing about it. When you've done that, let's say you've called Margaret, and Margaret was lonely too, and then you both went out for coffee, and then, an hour or 2 hours later, and you giggled and talked and fed chipmunks or whatever you did, and then you went home, and then you're just going to feel so much joy, and you're probably going to wonder, why didn't I do that sooner? Why didn't I? Like, why didn't you do that sooner? It's going to bring you so much joy. And this is what we need moving into our golden years. We need connection. We need joy. We need things that, make us happy and stuff like that. So, anyway, that's one way to combat loneliness, to help you feel more connected with the outside world. So you're not just sitting at home alone all the time, feeling sorry for yourself. And you know what? I'm guilty of, I'm going to tell you, I am guilty of that too sometimes, where, there'll be evenings, because I'm alone. I have 2 cats, but I'm alone, and especially on the weekends, and I'm not sure why that is, but I'll be like watching a TV or something. I'm like, oh my God, I just feel I just wish I had like somebody to watch a movie with, or I feel like I wish I had company or something. And I could easily pick up the phone or whatever and contact somebody, and I don't, and that's on me. So anyway, that's super important, and you can take that step to contact somebody and say, hey, let's go have coffee, let's go feed chipmunks, let's go to the park, let's go do something. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to aging, before we move on to something else, I want to stick to that loneliness thing. I want to make one more point, and share one more tip with you. So there are ways, like if you are mobile and healthy and you have a vehicle, I don't know why that word was so hard to say. I think volunteering, and I am a huge advocate for volunteering. I think volunteering is a huge, huge way. It's a beautiful way to get out and socialize. You're helping out a very worthwhile cause. Check out the volunteer organizations in your area and see whichever ones resonate with you, and see which ones need volunteers. Organizations are usually always looking for volunteers. And when I was living back in Canada, my organization that called to me from my heart was a homeless shelter. So I went and I fed dinner to 200 homeless people, and that was my groove, and that was my thing, and that was what brought me tremendous amount of joy. I feel that not only does it bring you joy, and at that time in my life, I was going through a really, really hard time. I was depressed. I was bankrupt. I hit rock bottom. I had just left an abusive relationship. I was alone. My life was a mess. And going to the homeless shelter and feeding 200 homeless people was a beautiful thing. It just filled my heart, and it gave me hope, actually. And it made me realize that my life wasn't so bad. Like, there are hundreds, thousands of people who are way worse off than I am. So if you are feeling lonely, I recommend checking out a volunteer organization. It could be an animal clinic. I do that here in Guatemala. I live in Guatemala now. For those of you that don't know, I left Canada 9 years ago, and I live in Guatemala. So I volunteer with three animal rescue organizations here, where we help spay and neuter and feed and all of that stuff. So find something that calls to your heart. It could be animals, it could be children, it could be environmental stuff. It just could be anything. So I think that's a really good way to help you with your loneliness or your need to get out and socialize more, is find a volunteer organization. that speaks to your heart, and call them up and say, or just go and visit them and say, hey, do you need volunteers? I have this many hours a week and I would love to volunteer at your organization. I think it's a great way, pardon me, it's a great way to get out, make new friends, meet like minded people, and get in some human connection because that is super, super important. I can't stress that enough. That human connection and social connection is really like it's really important in our older years. It will help you prevent depression and sadness from setting in, because so here's what happens is once that sets in, once depression has creeped in through your door and you find yourself really slipping down into, spiraling down, you're going to be less likely to reach out to people, if you prevent that, if you catch that, if you nip that in the butt. So that's just something to think about. Another thing I want to discuss, and we're going to keep this live. I only want to keep this live to 30 minutes, so we only have like 10 minutes left, I think. Another thing I want to talk about in finding joy in aging is that for many of us, if we didn't take care of ourselves for the first 50 years of our lives, chances are we probably have a few aches and pains and we probably feel a little unwell. Maybe some of us have a few extra pounds. And I know personally for me, so I am 62, in case you missed that. And I smoked for 49 years of my life, which sounds absolutely horrible, but I did. I was a heavy smoker for 49 years of my life. I just quit smoking a month ago. This is my third this is my third crack at it. I've quit smoking a few times, for a couple of years, for 3 years, and I started again last year. So I've quit smoking. I'm back at the gym. So I just want to say that it's never too late to take care of your health. And I think so. Health is wealth, right? And that is so, like, it's so important to take care of your health, not just your mental health, but your physical health as well. Pardon me. So if you do feel slightly unhealthy, or maybe you have some aches and pains, you can talk to your doctor about that. First of all, go for a little checkup and say, hey, you know what, this is the way I'm feeling, and I want to feel better without having to take a bunch of pills to get through the day every day. So, and if you don't have a doctor, I mean, the internet is a wealth of information. You can find just about any information, anything you need on the internet, and YouTube as well. So, you can change your diet. I mean, our diet is the number one cause of most of our aches and pains and our illnesses is from our diet. Because a lot of us, I mean, I'm Italian. I grew up on pasta, bread, and all that, yummy, rich, carb laden food, treats and desserts. And that's what we grew up on. But in my 60s, I'm making healthier choices. So I've completely cut out sugar. I don't drink alcohol. I quit smoking a month ago. Woohoo! So I'm choosing to change my diet at 62, and you can still do that. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can, there's so many healthy diets. There's a keto diet, there's a Mediterranean diet, there's an Atkins diet, paleo, I don't even know how to pronounce it, vegan. I mean, there's so much, but just make conscious decisions to change what you're eating, cut out sugar, do it one step at a time. Maybe you are a sugar addict like I was. Start by cutting out sugar. Start by slowly reducing the amount of sugar you eat to eventually cutting out sugar altogether. And you can you can substitute your sugar for stevia or an all natural sugar. A stevia is an all natural sweetener. Sorry. You can substitute your sugar. Pardon me. You can you can stop eating bread, you can stop eating pasta. I mean, there's so many ways that you can take better care of your health and change your diet. That's going to significantly, and I'm not even kidding, it's going to significantly improve your health. And health is wealth. So, start making little changes. If you're a smoker, quit smoking. If you're a drinker, start thinking about quitting drinking or cutting down. And I mean, if we're in our 60s now, it's hard to just quit anything cold turkey because we've had this habit. Most of us have had these habits for all our lives, for 50 plus years, right? So start by just reducing, weaning yourself off of sugar or alcohol or smoking or whatever shitty thing that you're doing that's hurting your body right now. Just wean yourself off, and you can make a plan, and maybe you can call a friend and ask a friend if she wants to join you in this, let's take better care of my health journey. And I think that's a great idea, to have an accountability buddy as well. Call your friend, grab your running shoes and let's go for a little walk, let's go, whatever the case may be. So I think it's really important to start taking better care of your physical health as well as your mental health. And taking care of your mental health is, getting out and having human connections and social connections and interactions. Taking care of your physical health is eating better. And I just want to one more thing that I want to share about eating food. So you are what you eat, right? So if we just continue to hang on, sorry, if we just continue to feed our bodies garbage, our bodies aren't going to run right. Our minds aren't going to run right. Now everything's just going to be sluggish and go wah wah wah, and it's just not. You're not going to be at optimal performance. So let's take your car for an example, and here's a perfect example. Many people take better care of their cars and their things than they do of themselves, which is kind of sad, but we do. But you're not going to feed your car. You're not going to put, 3 gallons of Kool-Aid in your car and expect your car to run, because it's not going to run. So you can't do that to your body either. You have to take care of your body. And here's a little fun fact for you, and you can Google this because I'm not making this shit up. You can Google this. A lot of the food that we eat and part of our diet also not only affects you physically, it comes out in your skin, your energy, but it also affects your mental health as well. And you can Google that. I'm not even kidding. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling sad or irritable or anxious or angry, check your diet and see what you probably should be cutting out. And I'm going to tell you a really interesting little experiment that I did just recently. So before I cut out sugar, I found that if I did eat sugar, because I love chocolate more than life itself, like chocolate is life. And I found that if I ate like a real chocolate bar as opposed to like a sugar-free or a chocolate bar that was sweetened with stevia, I had anxiety attacks. I'm not even kidding. My anxiety level would rise. I would have these little mini anxiety. They were really mini and they really freaked me out. I would have like these little crazy little mini panic anxiety attacks. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me. I thought, why am I having all what's up with what's up with me? Why am I having these anxiety attacks? And then it dawned on me, it was the sugar that was causing these anxiety attacks. I'm not even kidding. As soon as I cut out that sugar, I stopped having anxiety attacks. And I noticed that if I do have a real chocolate bar, I will definitely have. It's just now I know, because that's my body saying, no, this is poison. We don't want any of it. This sucks. Get it out of our bodies. So you are what you eat. So I think it's very important to watch what you eat if you want to feel 100%, or as at best 100%. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to share. Aging, while it does come with challenges and they're not fun, I mean, and here's something funny. I've sometimes when I look in the mirror and I'm like, who is that girl looking back at me? We have wrinkles and our skin is sagging, and our boobies are drooping, and we have crepey skin, and sometimes even still when I look at myself, I'm like, who's that? Like, I don't even recognize that girl. But, I'm happy that I'm still very healthy. I don't know how much time I have left. And when I talk about in the video that I did a couple of weeks ago, when I said that death is around the corner, and people were like, "Oh, you're so depressing. We're not dying soon." Well, everybody's dying. We're all dying. Um, but in my 60s, I mean, I did smoke for 49 years, right? So I could have a stroke tomorrow. I could have a heart attack tomorrow. I don't know. 49 years of smoking surely is going to catch up to me, or maybe I'll dodge the bullet. I don't know, but death is around the corner. I don't know which corner. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, but it's coming, it's coming for all of us. It's coming sooner for many of us. We're not 25 anymore. So I generally tend to try to make the most out of each day that I have. And I think that's super important. I start my day with gratitude. That gratitude saved my life. So I'll start my day when I open my eyes. Well, I have two kittens in my face because they both want breakfast, but I'll open my eyes, after I get their fur out of my eyeballs. Thank you, God, for waking me up. Thank you for a good sleep. Thank you for my bed. Today's going to be a good day. I'm going to have the best day ever. And let's just go and, knock this day out. So I'm grateful that I'm still alive. And I think gratitude, I think everybody needs to try to have a positive mindset. And I want to tell you, in the comments that I had in that last video, a lot of comments were, no, I shouldn't say a lot, but there were a handful of comments that were really, really negative, and people have such negative mindsets. And I get that. Like, I know what it's like because I've been there, but I know what it's like to be down and out and feel lonely, and it's shitty, and I have mobility issues, and all my friends are gone, and nobody wants to be around me anymore, and it's depressing. Mindset plays a huge role, and I think that if you reach out to people, find a volunteer organization, and if you can't get out of the house, you can reach people online. There are online groups, support groups for people who are homebound, who can't get out, who just need company, who just need somebody to talk to. There's people everywhere, all around the world, that you can reach out to and talk to. So I think if you just take the first steps to wanting to, first of all, wanting to improve your life, because you're not dead yet. Yes, we are all going to die, but you're not dead yet. So I think it's important to try to at least make your days count, instead of just sitting on your couch and watching, crappy Netflix or soap operas or whatever, and eating shitty food and feeling sorry for yourself. I think you can take the first step, maybe tomorrow, maybe when you wake up tomorrow, go, okay, you know what? Today's the day I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to reach out for help. Or today's the day I'm going to take sugar. I'm going to eliminate sugar today. Whatever it is, today's the day that I'm going to try to do something to make my life better. It's up to you to do that. I mean, it's easy to just sit around and whine and complain and feel sorry for ourselves, but nothing is going to change. And that's the rest of your days. And we're not here for misery. We are here for joy. That's what we're here for. We're not here to be miserable. We are here for a joyful existence. But it's up to you to create that. Nobody's going to bring happiness to your door. Nobody's going to do things for you. You need to take the first step into bringing joy into your life, into changing things into your life, and making each day count. So that's all I got for you. I hope you really enjoyed this live. This was my first live. Thank you for being here. And we're just going to end it. I did drop some links in the chat, so please do check out the links. There are some very helpful links from my website about aging and being lonely. And don't forget, yes, D3, we do discover deep dreams. I love the name of your channel. We do have to live each day to the fullest. You're absolutely right. Today is the day that you have. This is the only day that you have in front of you right now. So it's up to you to make the most of that. Anyway, so I dropped links. Thanks for being here on my first live. Super exciting. I'm going to end this live now. Thank you for being here. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. comment, like, share, all of that good stuff, because that helps my channel grow. And that helps me, and that helps more people hear my messages. And hopefully we can help more people not be so lonely and not feel so depressed as we move into our golden years. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Goodbye for now. Thanks for being here.